Welcome to the Construction Brothers Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Campbell. With me, like he is every week, my brother, Eddie Campbell.
What's up, Tyler?
Not much, Eddie. And this week, we're talking about cool stuff from CONEXPO. I really put on my radio voice for that one, guys.
You got low.
Did you feel it? Did you feel it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad. I feel like I'm getting good at this sort of thing. You know,
Tyler, you've been with us twice, man. Don't compliment other Tyler. Like Tyler 2. You should know better than that. Don't pump him up, man.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I just stating the obvious. I don't know if that was a compliment or not. It was more just like, yeah, we recognized you trying on that one. Good job.
Way to try.
So we got two Tylers here yet again. I like surrounding myself with Tylers. Our editor is actually named Tyler. I'm not even kidding. It's freaking hilarious. So, hey, glad to have another one of the Tylers back with us. And dude, like you went to CONEXPO and you got a bunch of cool stuff that you did share with me, but we wanted to kind of dive into it a little bit here on the podcast to kind of make everybody else aware of like some of the cool stuff that happened out there. If you didn't make it out, here's some of the highlights from your perspective at least, but you see a lot of cool tools too. So I feel like those are the really good highlights if you're picking them out.
See there, he complimented me. How are you going to yell at him?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there are reasons, but they're mostly brotherly and some deep-seated, but I won't go into that today.
That's another episode.
Yeah, that's for our other podcast. There's a couch involved. So, anywho, it's a Friday episode. Can anybody else feel that vibe? I mean, after lunch on Friday.
It's the end of the week. Nobody cares anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody cares anymore. So Tyler, just take it away, man. What do you got? What do you got? Just run with it.
Well, thank you. All right.
Well, it's your show now, sir. Go on.
Welcome to the Construction Brothers and Tyler Eddie podcast. But no, thanks for having me on. I'm super pumped about this. CONEXPO is something that only happens every 3 years, I believe. And the last one that happened was kind of weird with COVID. We all remember that. And so this year they went off with a bang. And what we did going to CONEXPO this year is we kind of had several objectives why attending the event this year, because we knew it was going to be big. We went to World of Concrete. World of Concrete was super cool, but there was a lot of people and vendors kind of holding their cards tight. They're like, hey, just wait, come see us at CONEXPO. And it was huge. There was like 1,800 exhibitors, over 2.7 million square feet of just cool stuff everywhere. So if you've never been to the Las Vegas Convention Center for CONEXPO, bring your walking shoes, a scooter, a trike, your Segway, whatever it is you need to do, because be prepared to walk a lot. But all that aside, right, we had some objectives to go. So we wanted to find specific solutions that could have an impact to decrease the ergonomic strain on our workers, right? So we teamed up with our EHS team and we're like, hey, we're going to CONEXPO, help us help you. And so that was the one thing that they said, hey, help us with some strain stuff for our frontline workers. So that was one. Then it was identify solutions that could potentially give our basically DPR as a GC and our SBW operations a unique advantage. So you got to get a little bit creative. And that's what's so cool about my job is that we get to think outside the box with innovation and like, all right, if everybody's going this way, what if we just kind of pivot a little bit and think of another application for said solution? The other thing was discover equipment related to electric battery, working at heights, autonomous abilities, and detection of underground utilities. So remember the underground utility thing? We've talked about rod radar. We're still on the hunt for more tools and solution that can help that, because that is a leading EHS issue. I would say in the industry, specifically at DPR, we're working through it. It's not a operation that DPR does all the time. However, it's on every project, especially if we're doing some sort of new construction and putting a shovel in the ground.
Are you guys doing stuff for like pre-con on that too? Because I'm aware there's a software that just came on the market. It's called 4M.
Yeah.
4M Analytics. Have you seen them? It's beforehand. You could do kind of your research and stuff, but I found that to be pretty interesting. Where you just basically draw around a map and it'll give you a lot of the utility data and everything.
Are they out of Israel?
Yeah, they're out of Israel. They have, I think they've got maps in Texas and California right now. So, I mean, they're kind of spreading out across the US, but it's really cool tech.
Yeah, no, I would love to, as that gets deeper, right? And we get more contractors usually using a platform like 4M, it's only going to get better, right? Because you're giving it data to infill, right? So you're constantly building and creating an as-built environment, which I think is pretty cool. We looked at it for the city of Seattle. We were doing some underground duck bank stuff down one of the busy streets down by Lake Union, and they just didn't have the stuff yet, but I'm sure they probably do now. That was a couple years ago. So
it's gonna get there. It takes time though. I mean, you got to go back to like municipalities and get all of this sort of like as-built data and inject that back into a platform. So it's a heavy lift to get a state online. But anyway, digression. Rod Radar is cool, and moral of the story and other stuff as well.
Yeah, and Rod Radar is at CONEXPO. Got a chance to meet the CEO and some of their key partners, which was really fun. They had this cool little thing that kind of showed and demoed how it was if you weren't familiar with it. So anyways, we've talked about Rod Radar. On to some other stuff, right? There is a company called Sarcos. And Sarcos is out of Salt Lake City, Utah. They basically develop and manufacture a broad range of advanced mobile robots. So a few years ago, a colleague, Henning Rodell, and myself got the opportunity to go out to Sarcos and preview some really cool robot stuff that they were doing. So picture like a utility boom lift that like PUD or a power company uses, right? But on the front of that, you have these robot arms, and it looks like you cut off a torso of a body and mounted it on the front of this utility truck bucket. But then you have somebody sitting below wearing a VR headset. It has a sensor suit, and you have like the joysticks. So the sensor suit picks up the movement from your arms and gives you some dexterity, right? And then you can use the remote controls if you're good with video games. It moves when you move your head. All this crazy stuff. So they put Henning and I in this suit, and we got to basically pick up a handheld chainsaw, go up to height. So we're on the ground, but the bucket goes up to height, and you can autonomously, destruct certain things using this robot arm. So you're driving the robot the whole time. So that was a couple years ago. Fast forward to CONEXPO. They had several of these things at their booth at CONEXPO, and they started mounting them on scissor lifts, boom lifts. It can actually go up on a rail system for a scaffolding. And what they're doing is they're looking for opportunities to like make construction use cases. So like, what should we be innovating as far as robots? So we freaking raise our hand and we say, well, utility work's cool. It's not really helping us right this moment. However, what if you were able to pick up a sheet of drywall or a sheet good and put it on the side of a building and then use your arm to screw it in? Meanwhile, you're just operating a robot. So that one I'm really excited about because they are doing some cool stuff, pretty high tech. They do some stuff in the DoD sector, so I think they're a little bit more rugged and ready to go.
So I'm immediately thinking of like Real Steel with this, and maybe I'm getting the wrong impression of what this is, but like basically how you're moving and it's got these arms that are robotically controlled and stuff, right? I don't know if you ever saw that movie. This is a terrible way to explain
it. Is this the robot punching one?
Yeah, the punching
dude,
robot
that
thing.
Used to be my kid's favorite one. Probably mine too.
Yeah. So it's like that where like you have the person off to the side that's controlling the robot that's up on the platform.
Yeah. I got to be Hugh
similar
Jackman.
to yeah. So you got to be huge Jackman. You you got to be that guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so the robotic arms are what you're actually controlling off to the side. So you're not actually up at height. You're like down on the ground controlling this thing.
Correct. So remember my point earlier about ergonomic strain for our workers. So what if you could combine the skill of construction workers, but with the strength and precision of robots? That's what we're talking about here, right? And you're taking the humanoid out of the risk factor, right? So now they're not working at site. You're down below in this cool tent. You got a little thing and you're starting to do some work, right? So they were also using it for like blasting for like ship holes and some weird stuff like that, or steel, like repurposing steel at heights. So pretty interesting kind of niche stuff they're working on. But definitely check out Sarcos.
I'm just scanning my brain for ideas. For real. I mean, that's like one of those. Well, I guess with all these robotics things, it's like they're creating these platforms. Spot was this way. Like there's a platform. They're like, okay, how do you want to use it? Like they're putting it out there for use, and it's like, okay, you guys dream it up. Like you're the ones that use it.
It's versatile. It's versatile,
Right,
and
yeah.
we're just looking for ways to steer it and like attachments that we can make for this.
Yeah.
So that it's more useful for you, which is great from an innovation standpoint. Like they're going to their customers and asking them, like, what do you actually need?
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's really cool. I know you got more though. All right. So and if you're watching the video version, you're probably seeing the Sarcos robot too, and probably realizing how bad of a job Eddie and I did of explaining it.
Yeah, fair.
You know.
Yeah, okay.
So anyway, go to the YouTube version. We'll link to a lot of the videos and stuff so you can see this in real time.
They also Sarcos developed what was that movie Day After Tomorrow or something with Tom Cruise, where basically he's the soldier and it does it over and over.
Is Edge of Tomorrow? That's the one that had Emily Blunt in it too.
Totally the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Way to go.
Anyway.
No, it's okay. Well, he's in a suit, right? And the suit is basically a full. He looks like Iron Man, right? He can't fly, and he uses this to fight all these battles. Anyway, Sarcos was the company who developed that robot, and then also Delta Airlines did a video on it where they were using it to basically pilot it to move luggage and stuff and load things, right? Because you could I think it was like 400 pounds you can hold like straight out.
Well, shoot, I'm taking one of those to the gym.
Yeah, get some.
I'd be the man. Get some. Oh yeah, I'm feeling the pump now. Got that hydraulic
I don't know if
power.
you're counting to just 1,000 reps.
Not
love
Natty.
it.
All right.
Okay, man. What else you got?
The next one is under that competitive advantage, I guess, tag. So as you're walking around CONEXPO, there's vendor after vendor after vendor. And I happened to walk by this one that had this big, huge TV. And I'm like, all right, what's this? And it's called T1V, and it's a collaboration platform. So T1V, I'm trying to think. You might know like Mailboard, right? Where you can kind of move stuff. Everybody can kind of get in there, and it's a collaboration space, right? So T1V has made it so that you have this big, huge touchscreen monitor, and you can host a myriad of people, things. You could put your YouTube video up there. You could put your construction schedule right next to your drawings. You could do priority walls with your BIM schedule. So like, why I thought this was so cool is if you're like a project scheduler, or you're just like maybe a PX that has a few projects, this is something that could give you real-time insight to your project, right? You could host meetings on this to where you invite your designer in, your sub-trade partner. Like, for those of us who have been part of like a pool planning session, this would have crushed a pool planning session. So say you had a huge monitor or multiple monitors, you could do your tabs and your sticky notes, but they're virtual, right? You can move them around, you can put them on the drawings, you can put them on the schedule. And when I was running projects, this would have been something that I would have fought tooth and nail to have, basically as a scheduler, as a project superintendent, as a manager of costs and different things, because I could have moved everything around, right? And you could have had, your MEP contractor that's not on site because they're early, or your steel contractor, start collaborating in this thing. They have the app, they can move stuff around. They can be like, oh, what if we put this over here? And it kind of blew my mind. And I sat through a demo a couple Mondays ago, and it just got deeper and deeper. And so have they
reconfigured like the operating system to have it be a little bit more, I don't know, easy to use on site? Or I'm trying to separate them between just like a normal everyday touchscreen like TV or something like that. And
I think it's the amount of stuff that you can house on one screen, and then how many multiple screens you could essentially have. So like wireless presentation tool that enables you to share content from different devices. Right. So
yeah,
that's one piece. So like if I got my phone and I'm out in the field, I could video what I'm looking at into the collaboration meeting, and people can start like taking notations, taking pictures, screenshots of it. And I know there's other platforms to do this, but to me, this T1V, kind of stood out because of the diversity of the things you could put on and how many different seamless displays you could add. So
that's interesting. Yeah, I want to go find this and kind of dig into it a little bit more.
For sure.
So yeah.
There is a product called Loris, and Loris is a remote light management solution, but it's much more than just a construction light. So picture like R2D2 with a little pole on the top of it, and it has a illumination like disc right on top of it. So you're creating illumination for task lighting, crew lighting, whatever you want to do. But it also takes 360 progress photos. It will do site security because it looks through that 360 photo or 360 photo slash video and will tell you, oh, that's a human, that's not a human, that's, there's not supposed to be anybody on the site right now. It also is a Wi-Fi mesh network kind of duplicator, right? So that you can start to create a mesh over your project by using your work lights. It will also, collect actionable real-time data through enabled sensors. So you can do your site security with it. So you're reducing cost. You're doing illumination for your task lighting. You're doing 360 project photos, and then Wi-Fi mesh, and then you can plug tools in right to it and charge everything. So
they threw a lot in that box, that's for sure.
Yeah, and the cost of entry is it's really affordable. And the one thing that we were trying to look at DPR was, how do we front load this, right? So think of you're creating your budget, your GC budget, and you're like, okay, I need Wi-Fi. I got to figure out some way to manage my lights. And then are we going to do photo? We're going to have somebody walk around each week. Is it a PE going to take photos? So think of all those costs associated, right? That all have a line item. If we're in pre-con and we start to go, all right, we're going to use the Loris solution because it does 360 photos. I can do my work task lighting and it helps with my Wi-Fi mesh. You're actually reducing cost and will actually be cheaper once you deploy it than trying to do each one of those light items separately.
Well, I'm sure there's also a common interface that would be used for that stuff too. So you're not as scattered with like, oh, I need to go over to this app for this app for that sort of thing. So you're kind of unifying things back down to a single source, which is pretty cool.
Well, say that the Loris unit was on my project, right? And you guys wanted to take a look. You go onto that platform. I don't remember if it's an app or a web-based thing. You can go on, you can actually remote in to where it'll tell you a map of where the Loris units are on your site. Be like, okay, I want, unit 02, right? I click on it. I can actually take a still photo from there or do a 360 scan and be like, all right, where the hell are my guys at? So it also gives you a little bit more insight to what's happening on your project if you're not able to be there.
I ask these kind of questions, and then when I get a no, it's always kind of like, oh, down the product. But I mean, is there any chance this is solar with like a battery bank?
It is a battery bank. It's not solar, but I didn't write it in my thing. I want to say they do like, it's almost 2 weeks of battery life before it recharges, and it'll tell you, oh, hey, I need to be recharged.
I'm sure that gets downed whenever somebody plugs a power tool into it. So there's that element as well, but that's still 2 weeks if that's the case.
So you are having it. So
it is amazing.
It is like, it doesn't have to be attached to a power source.
Correct.
Necessarily.
Yeah.
Like, so that's good. We've just got to,
cool.
Every once in a while plug a power source into it to make sure that it's charged up.
Yeah. Charge it back up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, that's also good from a safety standpoint too, because you don't want somebody accidentally like chopping one of your cables or something like that. That would be a problem.
I'm thinking of wiring it all up. Right.
Right.
I mean, you hate wires. Like,
yeah.
I don't want wires.
Yeah. You almost got to bury those to keep them safe. So that, it being wireless makes a heck of a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The other thing I really like about it is the Wi-Fi mesh network that it helps create. So say you have multiple, right? We are, when we're doing new construction or just an existing building that's concrete, shell and core, you lose so much signal, right? And you can't upload the model. You can't get to your drawings. You got to walk to the edge of the building. This really helps with that piece. So the more we can do things like this, I think it's very helpful in the scheme of production and efficiency for our sites.
Do you know if it's 5G or is it connected back to like a router? like back on like the job trail if it's a router, and then it just like
It's got to
basically
be
connects.
wireless.
Yeah, I believe it's wireless. So it still has to create or tune, like, what is it? Plug in or dial into some sort of network that you've provided to the site.
Okay. All right. So you
Be like a
you still
repeater.
have to yeah, that's what I was trying to clarify is if this is a 5G solution where it's just like got a cell unit inside of it and then it's connected to each individual
Yeah.
lamp. Well, you're explaining it. It kind of sounds like a lamp.
It's kind of what it looks like. Look, R2D2 with like a lampshade on its head, right?
Yeah, I want to get one of these just for no reason, just to have it. I want one.
Of course you do.
as most of these things.
All right, we got to move, man. There's a lot of cool things.
All right, keep going.
All right. The next one that really caught our attention was Wintra, WINTRA drone. So it's a drone essentially that takes off, looks like a plane, but it takes off vertically and then can fly really slow. And then it can also land vertically. So kind of like the SpaceX thing, right? It is an easy to use mapping drone that delivers consistent, high quality survey data faster, right? And it can fly for an hour and a half and do 3D photo renderings with geotags. So if you have a big site, this is pretty cool, because think of how long it would take to, scan a large site that's multiple acres or, many acres. You're going to have several flights, right? This one can get up and just go. And we were pretty impressed with the quality photos they were giving us in the scanning that they were create for the site. So
I've seen that be a big use case in like mining specifically. Like
Yeah.
there's a ton of use case for that, and even forestry.
For stockpiling, things
Yeah.
like this. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, so is this a LiDAR, or is this more like, is this photogrammetry?
photogrammetry
Or are we
is my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah.
that would make sense. That would be a little lighter.
Well, I mean, yeah, be a little lighter, and it'd also be a little bit cheaper at that point too.
Right,
I would
right.
imagine.
Yeah.
as well. The drone cost goes down exponentially. I think DJI has stuff with LiDAR in it, and it's stinking expensive to get into that.
Yeah.
But even the flight times are not that great either, if I'm recalling properly.
Yeah.
I don't know if I am.
A lot of them are like 20 minutes, right?
Yeah. Drones are like 20, 25 minutes, if that.
Yeah.
Like,
So an hour and a half.
now,
Yeah,
if you're-
that's insane.
Yeah. As far as like how autonomous is it? I mean, is it one of the solutions like with Spot where you got to give it a map and say like, all right, I want you to fly here, do this, this, this.
Yeah. Yeah. You create some sort of geofence so that it knows the parameters of the job, and then it'll start, doing its back and forth.
Okay, that's a good one. That's
Yeah.
a good one. All right.
So,
We haven't used this one yet. However, it did catch our attention because we're like, oh, we use drones quite a bit, and we sent this to some of our drone gurus within DPR, and they're like, "That's pretty cool." As far as I know, the FAA stuff is all the same. It basically takes off and lands different, and then can do longer flights.
Is it how big is it? Like how large of a footprint?
Like 2 feet by so.
2 feet? Okay,
Yeah,
that's
maybe.
that's not too big. Yeah.
No, it wasn't too big.
Yeah, I mean, you'd need commercial licensing in order to fly it, I'm sure. Like you would need your Part 107 or something like that to get that done. But still, that's because it's over 250 grams, I think, is when you need it.
you're the expert on that. Well,
I really am not the
that's
expert on that.
That's an overreach. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, you're right.
nobody asked me. Just Google it. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just making this crap up as I go along. Anyway, Tyler, what else you got?
Next.
All right, I don't know. Have you guys heard of Moxion?
That rings a bell.
Okay, it is a mobile energy storing. So picture it's basically like a generator. It's a battery generator, but a battery generator that can do 75 kW and 600 run hours. So essentially this battery generator can run your tower crane.
Jeez.
Yeah. This is gonna
How big
be,
is this?
This is gonna be something. Trust me.
How big is this? the
So
size
it's
of
like a tow
truck?
behind trailer, or like it's not like a big trailer, like an air compressor that you tow behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that size. So like a normal gas powered or diesel powered generator. It's the same size, but this one's 100% battery. Fun fact is DPR actually helped build out their manufacturing facility in the Bay Area.
how long does it take to charge it? To charge the power bank?
To charge the power bank. So my understanding of the model, because these are actually, I think, just became market available like as of May. My understanding of the platform is, so you have your Moxion battery generator sitting on your site. It needs to be recharged. They're going to bring another one, plug it in, and it charges it there. Or you're going to daisy chain them. So I don't know what their roadmap is to innovate that process, but I'm assuming that they're all over that. The first thing is now we have zero emission generator that can run your tower crane. That's pretty big stuff.
Yeah, so this isn't a wall charger, that's for sure. Yeah, you're not going to be able to charge it like your iPhone. So
wireless charging.
we're going to need more hamsters on wheels in order to charge this thing.
Yeah, big hamsters.
Otherwise it's going to take out, I don't know, the grid and the state of New York. Something like that.
Well, and then, so what else is neat is now that it's May, right? May 5th, these are available through Sunbelt. So you can actually start to rent these now on the market as a contractor, sub-trade partner, whatever it is. It's a Sunbelt partnership. And we're hoping to get our strategic partner OES involved in this as well, so that we can start renting these to ourselves. I just think this is a big leap in what we're doing to power our job sites.
Yeah, for sure.
Many, many times where just in closed spaces and things like that, I've seen generators running indoors before, and I'm like, come on, really? And like even with like open like bay garage like roll up doors, it's still like it's terrible.
Spewing exhaust.
Mm-hmm. And you're like, that's not safe. All right, sounds good. So yeah, this is a great solution for that. All right, what else you got, man?
All right, the next one is the Honda AWV. So Honda's autonomous work vehicle. Kind of like a big golf cart that has like a flatbed on it. It can, as of right now, it can fit 2 pallets, and they had, I think, about 3,000 pounds of pavers on the back of it. And they had this little like flat track going at CONEXPO, and this thing would take off. They would give it a mission, and the AWV would take off, stop where you had programmed it to stop. Somebody unloads it, and it keeps going. So the Honda equipment facility in Raleigh, North Carolina, apparently they're doing field tests of these. So if anybody's interested, we're trying to figure out how we could use this, right? And it takes a little bit of front loading, like the mission capability. We have a large site outside of Nashville, Tennessee, and we have all these paved walkways, right? Or like, we use the UTVs out basically on all of our sites, right? Where they load up stuff. But how neat would it be to program a mission when you're either before, you say your site starts at 7 a.m., program a mission to start at 6 a.m., where all of a sudden this thing loads up, or you load it up the night before or earlier, and it takes your tools out to you and stops where you want it, right? Or it takes that load of pavers out there or a pallet or whatnot, and heads out to the site. It's out there before you. Or you load it back up and say, hey, I don't need any of this stuff. You send it back to the shop. And so I think this has a place on larger job sites where you're spending a significant amount of time kind of taking gear from one place to another, right? Or a prefab facility. So that's kind of how I saw it. But pretty neat. They're looking for testers.
It takes the place of like a runner.
Yeah.
You got that job site runner who's just like, yeah, Billy, go get this thing for me, please, or whatever. Like it could basically be autonomous for that sort of thing.
Yeah. You could program it to like bring your coffee in an hour.
Yeah. Donuts.
When you're out.
You could put a water jug on the back of it and then have it show up at 10 a.m., right?
Yeah.
Certain places.
Or coffee. Yeah, coffee. I like that idea. I think that's a good one. How much does this cost? And where's the break-even point for coffee deliveries? Like, if I were to Uber this versus get an autonomous vehicle to deliver it to me, at what point does it start making? Sorry,
okay,
it's a very long digression.
Mind-blowing idea. Mind-blowing idea. Everybody's gonna hate me for this.
This isn't gonna be serious at all.
No, this is a good one.
Oh, okay.
All right, on the golf course.
Yeah.
Okay, you could get this thing running the loop, going through from hole to hole, and outfit it with like a concession stand so that it stops at like mid-hole, and then at the hole, and then at the T-box.
Yeah, that's true.
And
That's
then,
true.
you know, you can do your little transaction and then, you know, push the button, I'm done, and have it go on.
It's got like spare golf balls and stuff on there too.
Well, just like you could sell an array of things there and just have it continually in a loop.
No, I understand it. I was saying that we could load golf balls on there because Lord knows I'm going to need to buy more if I ever go golfing again.
Oh, you mean
Yeah.
because you suck?
Yeah, because I suck.
Oh, that. I was
Yeah,
giving you the
that's-
benefit of the doubt.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate
never mind.
that. Anyway, Tyler, get us out of here.
Okay, well, now that we're digging ourselves out of that rabbit hole. All right, so we talked about autonomous work vehicles. So now picture a huge construction loader, right? An equipment loader or a dirt loader, right? It's running around your site. You're picking up gravel. You're dumping it, doing all this stuff. So Dosen, I believe now Devlin, has created a transparent loader bucket. And it, to just stop, I know what you're thinking. It's not actually transparent. However, they're using basically photo or cameras positioned on this loader to create basically human detection and blind spot alerts. So you're driving this loader, and you got the bucket up, and you can't see, you know, people walking in front of you. What the photos do is create that blind spot for you, and not create the blind spot. They get rid of the blind spot for you, but it appears that the bucket is transparent. And on that document I sent you, there is a video that I took of, and I'm videoing this big screen, and this guy's running around, and the guy announcing stands in front of the loader, and it stops, but you can see from the camera through the driver's lens, and you can see this guy standing in front of this bucket, and you're like, how do they do that? And it's just the photogrammetry that positions it so that it basically, like the Tesla, right? You're driving, all of a sudden, how do I see my Tesla as I'm going? Same idea, but they've done it with a bucket loader, and then it starts to beep and freak out red about that there's blind spot or human in your way, or a car or vehicle. This one kind of blew my mind because I wasn't expecting something like that. They said transparent bucket, and I was like, what the hell? How do you do that?
It's just made out of glass. That's how we. Duh.
You laugh, but
Acrylic.
at first thought, I was like, wait, do they like plexiglass?
What?
Like, what do they use this out of? Like, how do they make it strong enough? And I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot. No. And so,
You know, you did just call me an idiot. I appreciate that. Thanks very much. No, I've seen the video of this too, and it's at first, I was like, what? I don't understand. And yeah, using the cameras is a really cool way of doing that, because I didn't realize like that was a big injury that happens. Or I say an injury. There's a lot of deaths and like really big accidents that happen as a result of that, because you're driving and you can't see past the bucket. One thing that I would push back on too is like you get this gauge of distance with a bucket, like the hood of your car. Like you kind of know where the end of your car or your truck is at, right? I wonder if that would mess with it in any way, shape, or form, right? So if it's transparent and you're scooping something, can you turn it off so that like you can judge distance that way?
so it's still like a monitor that you see. It's not like the windshield, right? Doesn't
Okay.
I hope if Dosen's listening, I think that's what it should be, is the windshield should be the monitor eventually. But yeah, so it's a monitor that basically gives you the impression of, so you can see, you know, you're kind of doing this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's backup cam.
Basically.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, really
Yeah.
fancy.
Yeah. It's a very fancy, expensive backup cam. All right.
That saves lives, which is the best part.
Which is a good thing.
And
Yeah,
the
like
same
that.
company also had an autonomous dozer that was pretty cool. And I know Caterpillar's been talking about that for a little while, and I think they were trying to get people out of, you know, harm's way if it's a significant slope that they're trying to, you know, move the dirt on. And this one was, it appeared like you just plugged in a mission again, and like, hey, I want this graded, and it talks to the total station and does its whole thing. That same company, Dosen. So that was pretty cool too.
That's ridiculous.
Another one I'm excited about, and we're actually hoping to get one of these. It's Alaska Structures, and they have kind of, I think it's called like the pack and carry line. And what that means is that it comes in, when they say pack and carry, it's still like as big as a table, but two guys can set it up in roughly 20 minutes. And it's a structure that's like 15 by 20. and has the ability to withstand Alaska type elements or extreme heat. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to use one to create cooling shacks. So as we have some projects in, extreme areas of Arizona, we're going to set these up. They had these ACU split units that basically duct into the side of this Alaska structure that are also, oh my God, I'm just blanking, solar powered. So they can essentially be out on your job, solar powered split unit that's ducting cold air or heat in, whatever you want. We're going to use them for cooling and create this conditioned space to get our folks, cool and try to reduce the amount of, heat related illnesses or injuries or incidences.
That's pretty sick. So so it comes like size of like a card table, that sort of thing, but it just kind of folds out and then you can duct into it.
Yeah.
That's kind of, and so like a tent that you would see like at a fair or something, not like
yeah, it's kind of like I don't know, that's a dome, right? Yeah. Dome shape.
Yeah.
They have a ton of stuff where they do like remote mining camps and full like medical facilities, and you could use it for whatever. I believe they're military rated as well, and it had to be able to be set up and take down like 1,100 times with 0 defects or something like that in order to get that DoD type contract.
How long does it take to set up? Did you say that already?
I did. It says easy setup in less than 15 minutes.
Shoot, man.
So could you set this up like over, like, let's say we're tying rebar for the strip footing. Like you set it up over the strip and let it condition the space, and the guys are actually working in a reasonably conditioned space. So if it's and that might seem like, oh man, we're going completely soft in the construction. If you're going to have them no. If it's 115 degrees in Arizona, then that might be a whole lot better than, I'm sorry, everybody's body temperature is going to take them to heat stroke if you put them out there in the trench.
Seriously.
So we get a few more working hours out of it instead of like, hey guys, come back at 7.
Well, it's not even the working hours; it's the working conditions. Like you're not ruining your people at that point. Like they're not going through the wear and tear that being out in those elements really causes.
Yeah, well, the hours thing, like a lot of times you're like, well, I'm going to get out there really early in the morning, or I'm going to work in the evening. So you just like take that hiatus in the hottest part of the day.
Yeah, it'd be really cool to see one of these things like roll out to where it could be, really long and like kind of narrow to sit over a trench or something like that where they're tying rebar.
Why do you say that?
Or
because they do that they make them it's like a truss system, right? So you can get a little wider. I don't remember the exact width that you can get, but think of like how many of you ever had to build a roof in inclement weather, right? Like, so you're not dried in yet, but you need to be, and the snow's coming or the rain's coming. I kind of pictured this as you could span a roof system, create a conditioned space over the top, maybe do your TPO and roof when you're not waiting for, the good summer months, or like Eddie's talking about, is create a space to where we can get people working, in those extreme weather conditions. And you can basically, they would butt up to each other. So this one would connect to this one, and you just can make this huge long trench if you wanted to, or roof or whatnot.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
So just out of Alaska, I'm thinking like when you're in the north and there's severe cold.
Well, yeah, of course.
Then you almost think like ice fishing. You got your little fishing shack or whatever, so that you can continue to actually function and do things. Yeah. Alaskans have to be pretty inventive when they get all that dark and all that cold for a lot of the months of the year. So this would have been, I'm sure, kind of was born out of a necessity.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, in order to work, you have to have a modification to the normal elements of the day in order to work.
That's a cool one, man.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Literally.
Or hot.
Depending on what you need. Hot take. Anyway.
So I'll let you know how it goes when we pilot it. We're excited about that. We've been talking about, trying to create, we have created these hodgepodge cooling shacks that look like little jails or, places where you go to when you're in trouble. So we're trying to make it a little bit nicer, right? Like make it so that you can get a few guys in there and gals, and they can get cooled off, hang up their gear, get reacclimated, and then come out ready to go. So
heck yeah. Yeah, for sure. All right. What else you got?
I got 2 more. So a company called Teledyne Construction, they showed me this GPR equipment attachment. So it's a pre-market prototype that they put it on the front of a skid steer, and it looks like just like a piece of plywood with some arms on it, and it will GPR scan. Basically, if you were to take your skid steer and run it over a field, or you knew that there's a trench line, and it just, again, we were creating a vision underneath the ground prior to putting a bucket in it or a shovel. And I remember when I was talking about ways that we can reduce underground utility strikes, this is another one of those market solutions that, in conjunction with a few things, call your 811, right? Get your locator out there, get your stakes in the ground, do your pre-dig permit, use your rod radar, right? Like all that fun stuff. In conjunction with something like this, I hope that this kind of thing drastically reduces the amount of underground strikes that we have in the industry, because it's just not funny, right?
Yeah. So this fits on a skid steer, though. So it's, instead of being on an excavator, you're on a skid steer at this point, right? That's kind of like scale differences.
Yeah,
between the two products.
I would also say that the rod radar that's on the excavator bucket, it's multifunctioning, right? To where it scans and it can dig. This is just a scanner. But say you have a huge field and you want to scan, you could just back your skid steer up back and forth, just like that Wingtra, drone, where you're just creating a grid and identifying, underground utilities that could potentially be there. Or you're saying, all right, this is clear. Now I know I can dig and pothole here. You use your rod radar, do your whole thing. Like, again, we're just trying to reduce those underground utility strike opportunities. And Teledyne says that there is pre-market prototype testing opportunities out there. So for those of y'all listening that want to get involved, they need some help testing. So
very nice. Very cool. All right, last one. This better be a good one.
Last one's a good one. So Knoxcrete, they are a partner of ours, and they are a chemical solution for concrete problems. So they do concrete form release, they do cure and seal, they do form and equipment protection, and then tilt up, cure, and bond breakers. So I just listed like the top 4 that we use it for. However, you go onto Knoxcrete's website, and there is a whole bunch of cool stuff that these guys do. And they've used one of our OES, like Georgia buggies, that, over years of use is just covered in splatter and concrete, right? And when you use the Knoxcrete form and equipment protection spray, it literally makes the thing like new. So what they did is they basically drew a line down the front of this Georgia buggy. One side stayed as is, and the other was with the Knoxcrete stuff, and it looks brand new. So as you walk around it, you're like, what the hell did you guys put on this? So if your tools and equipment are getting all hammered and you're like, I still can't get this off, Knoxcrete has some pretty good solutions for this.
It's industrial strength Scotchgard.
Basically. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, in real talk, right? It is. Like, it's awesome.
That's
like,
amazing.
Hey, can I just put all this? I asked them if they had a solution that could go on my mountain bike so that it didn't get muddy. And they kind of looked at me like, well, I don't know about that, but it's a good idea. So
just give me a can of it, okay? Just give me a can of it. That's all I need, all right? Just let me. I got it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. And so you can get Knoxcrete through OES Equipment and Rentals. That's a strategic partner at DPR. And we've actually done some classes through Knoxcrete on the concrete form seals, the cure and seal, the equipment protection stuff, so that we're trying to train our folks on, like, hey, here's some other solutions out there that might work a little bit better, may create a better product in the end. So
very nice. That's a good one, man.
Yeah.
That's I'm gonna coat my truck in that. I think that would be very helpful.
That's some high-end wax right there.
It's some high-end wax.
Hey, I've got an idea.
Maybe test it on your wife's car first.
Yeah. There you go.
We'll talk to Sam about that one.
Yeah, no.
I have an idea, all right? I'm trying to kind of rack my brain, like, how are we going to get out of here? Because this isn't we haven't been talking about a idea, there's all this stuff.
Yeah, right, of course.
Right, okay.
And we've already asked you our megaphone question too.
Right, so we've already been there.
Yeah.
So I have an idea.
Okay.
All right, so
okay.
How about this one instead of the megaphone question? So what's your overarching feel coming out of CONEXPO? What's kind of your big takeaway from that? is the industry trajectory, that kind of thing? Like, how are you feeling coming out of ConExpo? Because generally, you coming out of conferences pretty charged up.
Well, yeah, of course.
Like, oh man, this is so awesome. Like, are you charged up about where we're going? Could we be going faster? Are we thinking practically? I don't know. What was your feel walking out?
I think that's a good question. So a couple things on that is, so when I've been to ConExpo in years past, and I've also been to World of Concrete several times before too, and this ConExpo is a little bit different because in the years past, battery equipment or just battery powered solutions, I felt was kind of low on the radar. Like there was only a few that you saw that you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. And we even asked the question years ago, like, hey, are you trying to innovate towards, battery powered equipment? And we had some of the big players be like, nah. And then this was, fast forward, it's probably been 3 to 5 years. And all of the big equipment manufacturers that we recognized out there had a battery powered solutions, right? And then we start looking at different tool platforms. I think that the battery capabilities in the last few years has just, force multiplied. And there's so many more options out there for kind of clean, sustainable power for our job sites and our construction operation. That was probably one of the biggest takeaways I had coming out of there. I was like, all right, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, starting to make some headway where we need to.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love it. That's great stuff. Dude, thanks for sharing all the goodies with us again. I really appreciate it. Every time you come on, I'm really excited because I'm going to learn something new. So thanks for going to ConExpo so we didn't have to.
There you go. Yeah.
I want to go next time. Though,
I know, right?
So in all honesty, I do think that there is a large opportunity for World of Concrete next year. And then in a couple years, ConExpo. Construction Bro should be there interviewing some of the vendors. I'd love to walk with you guys and we could shoot the crap and figure out what we think is cool while you're there. Cause I don't really see too many, I would say cool podcasts out there, doing their thing, talking to the people, chopping it up, really kind of like you stand there and try to like interview some folks like, hey, what do you think about this? And get some real life feedback. I think it'd be pretty rad episodes. So,
well, all right. We're going to have to see where that goes.
Vegas, baby.
He called you cool. He called you cool.
Called me cool
He called you
again.
cool, and you're like, I'm in.
All right. Thanks for joining us again, Tyler. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much.